Good morning. Thank you for joining us today for our latest episode of Coffee and Compliance. We're here to answer any questions you may have about today's topics, which is confidence in compliance. I'm Holly Waters-Marsh from Urban Fox Marketing, and I'm speaking to Swapan, the CEO of Dply. So, Swapan, before we start with our main topic today, can you please give us an update on any EUDR news, please?
Yeah, hello everyone. Many thanks, Holly, for the introduction. Yes, every day we're getting a couple of new informations and comments about UDR. What's for sure, it is an unknown. Yeah. I think nobody is now willing to project what's going to happen. The opinions are on one side to have stopped the clock and postpone just, and the Commission is really willing to put a specific action plan just behind it, not just to get a postponement. And whatever is going to happen, how it will be introduced, we'll see. But I don't think we'll learn about it earlier than in December. Just to make my comment, as I'm doing to every company we're talking to, just get compliant, yeah, and move on. Otherwise, just waiting in business is not the right approach.
Yeah. That's great. Thank you. Thank you for that update, Swapan. That's really useful. But back to our topic today. So we're talking about how the electronic delivery note ensures you become compliant and ensures that you can trust the data in your supply chain. So we're going to be covering how the eDN ensures compliance through traceability and transparency from the first mile to the final product, the value that a decentralized platform brings to the compliance process. And also, we're going to be looking at some trends outside of the EU market. We're focused on the EU for a few weeks now. So let's have a look today how important it is in other markets such as Asia. The role of electronic delivery notes is becoming more important, and decentralized data systems are empowering businesses from suppliers to regulators to have greater traceability and control. So, in summary, electronic delivery notes and decentralized systems are transforming compliance, transparency, and efficiency in global supply chains. So, if we go back to those initial questions, Swapan, the first one there is how does the electronic delivery note ensure compliance through traceability and transparency from the first mile to the final product?
Yeah, so first we need to understand what or how do we define the electronic delivery note. Yeah, so it's a delivery note which is linked with the standard delivery note. Yeah, so we're just continuing to work as we're doing on our daily base. We're having incoming the delivery notes. We're having outcoming the delivery notes for our sales. So we're well organized in our ERP system. The ERP systems for the last years got more automation. We're having more documentation information, and it is linked with the process. Yeah, so we're looking at the commodity. We're looking at our inventories and the usage of the material to produce our product. At the same time, we're usually having different level of certifications, right? So we can have an ISO certification, or in the wood industry, we can have a PEFC or FSC certification, or any other certification related to our business. And all those processes, when we're looking at the compliance element and the transparency in the compliance in the entire supply chain, we understand that we're having a gap to fill in. And one of the methodologies how to achieve this goal is to have the electronic delivery note, which on one hand is just mirroring our standard delivery note and adding to the process the layer of compliance. So we're gathering all the relevant documentation information, which is securing and allowing us to have the full evidence that we're compliant. And here, once we'll begin to gather this information, as we call it, at the first mile, and we're gathering the right information, we can then transform this data within the entire supply chain, that at the end of the supply chain will be sure that our material, which we have used for the final product we're placing in the retail market, is compliant.
Great. Yeah. And what is the value that a decentralized platform brings to the compliance process?
As we're aware, all the key element in a supply chain is privacy and confidentiality of data, right? We're really very strict on that. We know everybody in an open market has competitors, yeah, and we're securing our company, I mean, data, the best way we can. Yeah. So in a decentralized structure or architecture of a system, we can secure that. So we're keeping all the data related to our business in our database, and only sharing the data we need to share with our partners in the supply chain. But at the same time, we're ensuring them that once they will get to the audit process and they would like to provide an audit till the source, we're enabling them and assuring them that we can achieve this goal instantly. So this is giving us the right level of security and the confidence which we're building in our supply chain. And when we look upstream, we need to understand that once we're at the first mile of the supply chain, we even do not know where our material is being used and ending up in what final product. I mean today. But in the world of compliance and transparency of traceability, we should be aware that once we'll get asked by the retailer who is at the end of the supply chain, we're able to confirm that on a transaction base. And in this way, we're sharing just a limited number of information, keeping our privacy and confidentiality of the overall information of our business.
Yeah, which is obviously absolutely key to this process. And then the third main point that we wanted to talk around today was about different markets outside of Europe. So, how important is traceability information in Asia?
When we look at what's happening here, we're having, our saga about EUDR. We're having other regulations which are within EU, and we see that at the same time, other continents are sometimes ahead of us, which we even do not know. There are other regulations. That's one thing, but the other thing is the culture of business. Yeah, we really, especially we can see it in Asia, are caring about our clients, and by caring, we want to get the compliance in our supply chain. So we're really focused on that, and we want to be sure that the materials we're sourcing for our production are compliant. So we're not driven by regulatories in multiple, cases. We're driven by the business experience, the business approach, and our willingness to build our brand on compliance. I strongly believe that almost all brands don't want to get an issue on compliance in just having a bad reputation. Yeah. So this bad reputation and the mindset is giving them the drive to really look after their supply chains and get compliant.
Yeah. Yeah, very interesting. And so we've got some further questions here, just related to our topic. Why are electronic delivery notes becoming a critical part of compliance and traceability today?
It's especially with very precise regulations. Yeah. So when we look at countries which already adopted, let's say, digital product passport, what means the history of the product. So the history of the product is requiring from us to confirm the level of the source compliance. Yeah, and here the electronic delivery note, as we have it on the inbound and outbound part of the platform. So just to make it clear for everyone, the methodology. Yeah. So once I'm placing my product first time on the market, I'll just have an outbound delivery note, and this delivery note outbound is becoming an inbound delivery note of my buyer, and then he's processing the material and creating his product, and again his outbound delivery note is becoming an inbound delivery note of a next supply chain partner. And this way, when we understand this process, and here where we're also looking at the decentralization and the way how the supply chains are built, we understand that this process is securing the full traceability and transparency in data whenever we want to get the confirmation of that. Now we're moving to EUDR. EUDR is a transaction-based regulation. So here we need to keep our files for 5 years for any audit purposes by the competent authority or anyone from the top of our supply chain looking just at their obligations, usually as large operators. And we need to be able to confirm once we're requested to do so. And the electronic delivery note system is enabling us to get a very fast and confident information, because it's all being recorded in the platform, and instantly we can answer any question we're asked.
Brilliant. And how does decentralization differ from using a cloud-based or centralized database?
That's a very good question. The answer is today, look, you can use a vTransfer, you can use a Google, Drive, yeah. You can receive, 100 megabytes of 100 files, yeah. And the question is, what do you do with them, yeah? How do you understand them? How do you evaluate them? How do you categorize them? How do you keep them relevant to a transaction? So all these processes, which today are happening, and the companies who understand that it is a lot of work to be done around these processes in order to achieve this compliance. So once they can get in a supply chain as a part of a decentralized system. The value of it is, first of all, the full automation of the processes, the security of the data, and giving the companies really a high level of confidence. I don't want to use the buzzword as blockchain, yeah. But just basically, once the entire supply chain is built on the electronic delivery note architecture, where really are talking in real life on a blockchain of data which are fixed and unchangeable and ready for any evidence at any time.
Fantastic. And then following on from that, what are some of the biggest obstacles companies still face with an overload of electronic documents?
I'm saying, we're dealing with clients who are in real life receiving these tons of PDFs. And now, when we're looking at global supply chains, we need to understand that the risk assessment and risk mitigation levels, which you need to take part of the due diligence process, are related to the country of the source. So, do we know the country of the source of the material which we're receiving from our supplier? Not in all cases we're aware of it. Yeah? Number two is, every country has their own specific on the structure of the documentation you need to receive, and an understanding of what really is the key for that country or that region. So once we are having this understanding, we see that the traditional way of receiving a lot of documentation. Now, also, do not forget that usually the documentation is being presented in the language of the country of origin. Yeah. So we still
Mm,
hear an obstacle of the language. I mean, just barrier, not only understanding if
mm,
this document is a valid document, it is a legal document, the validity of the document is accurate, etc., etc. So there are a lot of issues around the documentation itself. So if this burden can be just removed and can be organized, that's a big thing for anyone who really understands what means the compliance in the supply chain.
absolutely. And we've talked about Asia this morning, but what are some of the trends in other non-EU markets? Do you have any examples or?
Yes, I mentioned already we got the digital product. I mean, passport. This we got in Australia as an example. The systems are also in US. We got a Timber Import Act in US. Yeah, so there are a number of regulations which are sometimes even more strict than EUDR. Not everybody
Mm,
knows that if you will bring to US any material which is sourced illegally, it's a crime. Yeah. And
mm,
be charged not only just financially, but you will have a lot of issues and basically you'll get in prison. So
mm,
people need to understand that really the compliance in different regions of the world is happening already. And
mm,
on one side, on the other side, as I mentioned, are brands. The brands are driving also the need of compliance. So even the
mm,
regulation is not there, I am willing to share with my clients that all what I am doing and my products are free of any misappropriations, to put it in a nice way. Yeah. So they're
mm.
compliant, and I'm taking care of my supply chain, and I'm only dealing with those companies who can securely confirm that the compliance processes are there.
Yeah, yeah, that is really interesting. And the next question here is how has the shift towards real-time data and digital proof of delivery changed the way organizations manage risk and accountability?
Yes, that's wide. I mean, topic. I think for a separate session
Mm,
to get in details. Yeah, but when we look at the first, let's say, element of that, that's accountability. Yeah. So how we can assess if somebody one is accountable or not is just by the actions in place, right?
mm,
So to get the proof of the actions in place, you need to support your activity with tools and make the right choice of the tools and adopt them in the processes. Yeah. Also, to give here an example, going a little bit back to EUDR, one of the key elements companies are neglecting, or they simply do not have the awareness of that, is that one of the key obligations, first obligation, is to prepare EUDR deployment procedure in your company, a, a document which is describing how we're getting to meet all the obligations under EUDR, depending on the way, on the place where we are in the supply chain. So mapping of the supply chain, adopting different workflows, etc. Yeah. So to get back to the core, we need really to first of all define the processes which need to be in place, look for the tools which are the best tools for us to automate it, to have the possibility to keep all records in place for any audits, right? And also, I would say, even more importantly, build the confidence in the supply chain. So our buyers need to be really confident and
Mm,
uh, and um, and keep us on the list of their suppliers. Yeah? If in today's world everybody has competitors, so everybody needs to think about the strategic development of his company, how differently he can position himself, what better he can do, what better technology he will be using in the production part, but also how different he'll be on the compliance part. Yeah. So how he will support his buyers to make them just confident that he's the right partner for them. Yeah? And I think this is the
yeah.
entire thing about it, just to make it understandable. So think more about your company, think more about how your company is needing to act in today's business in environment. And we need
Mm,
to understand regulations will be there, more regulations will be there. So we'll not get rid of them. Yeah. So all illusions that, now we'll
mm,
deregulate everything and we'll just keep, it as it is will not happen. I mean, today, I mean, in the world where we are, and if somebody really is in the global supply chain, he really understands that. Yeah. Dealing with multiple the countries in a supply chain, understanding all the business processes there, make it for them very clear that they need
mm,
to get compliant. Otherwise, they don't have any control of their business.
mm, definitely. And the next one, you've touched on this a bit already, but if there's anything else you want to add, how can giving each stakeholder control over their data actually increase overall confidence in the shared information?
Yes, in the standard due diligence, I mean, process, we at the first goal, we need to understand who is our supplier, and assess him. But once we got all this data and we approved this partner, so how do we know that in the future nothing is happening? Yeah, so we can only provide this confidence by creating a process, and one of the key elements of the process is an audit. And we need to run the audits on a transaction base, that we're sure that, once we're just looking at one transaction or few transactions in a selected just period of time, it will build the confidence that the processes are in place. Because if something occurs which is non-compliant, that should ring the bell, put the red lamp, and see, how do we then need in depth to assess our supplier. And sometimes, don't get me wrong, it is not the fault of the supplier. It can be simply also an effect of getting on board a new supplier of our supplier. Yeah. So, the entire supply chain, it is not static, is dynamic. Yeah. So this is the
Mm,
reason why we also need to care about the processes on a regular base. And that's the reason why we need the tools for that. Yeah? Otherwise, if today everything is perfect, doesn't mean that tomorrow, in 1 month, or in 3 months, it will be
mm,
equally well perceived and confirmed. Yeah?
mm. Yeah, definitely good advice. And what are the biggest misconceptions companies have about digital compliance tools?
Yeah, it's I would say, most of the companies are looking at the traditional way where the lot of already enhanced processes are happening. So when we look at the supply chains, we see that in the logistics part, in the documentation, in the processes, in the tools, already a lot of achievement have been done. So we see our ERP systems are more robust. They are gathering more information. We're doing the assessment of our suppliers in a detailed way and documenting them as well in in an IT tool. So all those things are happening in general. Yeah.
Mm,
Okay, so how we can now transform it and understand that we can get the traceability on a transaction level. This is the question, yeah? And how we
mm,
can support also it with the documentation related to this transaction, yeah?
mhm.
So
Yeah,
that is the challenge which is in front of the companies. The sooner they understand
yeah,
that this is a new layer of information which needs to be kept in on a compliance, platform, and to be assessed, audited, as we mentioned already a couple of times, and to keep their records for any investigations or whatever will happen in the future. We need to build
mhm.
ourselves the confidence in us. Okay, so I did all what I could. I used the best tools, and now I'm really fully aware, and I took all the relevant actions, and I can say really, okay, my supply chain is compliant, my brand is protected. I took all
Mhm.
measures which I can take. I use the best technologies are there to support it. And one of them is the electronic delivery note system in a
Yeah.
centralized mode as we have proposed it. So just keep your mind open and think how you can adapt to the new calls of the market. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. And we just have time for one more quick question, but a good question. How can small or micro companies adopt digital compliance platforms without major technical or financial barriers?
Yes, that we face, let's say, every day, and that is the reason why we're keeping our Timber ID platform just related to the size of the business. So
Hmm.
every stakeholder can achieve it financially because the license fees are just set at the size of his business.
Hmm.
So there are no barriers on the financial side. The platform is user friendly, easy adoptable, just one day implementation, and then support in usage of the platform. So we got large enterprises which are using our platform, but at the same time we got micro and small companies. And now let's understand why those small companies are asking for the tools to support them, because they're
Hmm.
requested in their supply chain by the larger organizations to get compliant. Yeah, and this
Yeah.
is the main reason why we're doing it and why we build the decentralized architecture of the platform just to make it affordable to everyone in the supply chain.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, thank you so much. That brings us to the end of this episode of Coffee and Compliance. And thank you again, everybody, for your questions. So, just a bit of a recap. So, we've talked about the importance of electronic delivery notes in the compliance process and how having a decentralized platform can bring more value. but also looked at markets outside of the EU to look at how traceability and transparency works here. And finally, Swapan has just explained how smaller companies can comply from a technical and financial perspective. So join us next week again next Thursday at 9:30, and we'll be answering your questions again. Next time we will be joined by Rob Shaw from PFC International, and we'll be talking about how associations play a role in reinforcing traceability, and we'll get Rob's input on the latest EUDR updates. See you next week.
Thank you.